Hi, friends. I'm Dave Barklow, pastor at Fort Walton Beach First United Methodist. Welcome to the Pastor's Study, our daily devotional to help us focus our mind on the things of God. We are in Mark chapter 5, and the next section of Mark chapter 5 is two miracles. So we read about one miracle yesterday, and there's two miracles in this next section. It's a little lengthy, and I think I'm going to kind of read through the first miracle, and then we'll look at the second miracle tomorrow. So this is Mark chapter 5, verses 21 through 34. When Jesus had crossed again in the boat to the other side, a great crowd gathered around him, and he was by the sea. Then one of the leaders of the synagogue named Jairus came up, and when he saw him, fell at his feet and begged him repeatedly, "My little daughter is at the point of death. Come and lay your hands on her so that she may be made well and live." So he went with him. And a large crowd followed and pressed in on him. Now there was a woman who had been suffering from hemorrhages for 12 years. She had endured much under many physicians, and had spent all she had, and she was no better, but rather grew worse. When she heard about Jesus, and came up behind him in the crowd, and touched his cloak, for she said, "If I but touch his clothes, I will be made well." Immediately her hemorrhage stopped, and she felt in her body that she was healed of her disease. Immediately, where the power had gone forth from him, Jesus turned about in the crowd and said, "Who touched my clothes?" And his disciples said to him, "You see the crowd pressing in on you. How can you say, 'Who touched me?'" He looked all around to see who had done it. But the woman, knowing what had happened to her, came in fear and trembling, fell down before him, and told him the whole truth. And he said to her, "Daughter, your faith has made you well. Go in peace and be healed of your disease." What I find very interesting here is we start off with this man Jairus coming and talking about his daughter. And we're going to read about what happens with her tomorrow. But Jesus is on his way on this very important thing he has to do. Jairus we've learned from we know here is that he is one of the leaders of the synagogue. So we know that he's an important man. We know that he has this deep love of his daughter, and that his daughter is very sick. And so Jesus getting to the daughter is very important. Of course, we know the power that Jesus has, but Jairus doesn't. And so we see this as this is the moment in the story where things need to hurry, where things need to be quick. They need to get through this crowd and get to the daughter so that she can be healed of her disease. Yet this woman comes and is healed by her faith, by touching the hem of Jesus' garment. There's just beautiful stuff behind that too, and how the faith that this woman has. And Jesus stops. On the way to this very important errand, to do this very important godly work, he stops and he affirms this woman's faith and figures out what's happening. I'm reminded by this story that all too often the important things in life are actually in the interruptions. I had a seminary professor tell me one time that ministry is what happens when we are interrupted. That we think ministry is getting things checked off our to-do list. When in actuality, what often needs to happen is we need to be interrupted. We need to see the people in front of us. We need to see the people who are hurting and just need that touch, that need that prayer, that need that encouragement, that need that good word, that need our time, even if it is an interruption. Too often in our world, we get so busy, we get so task-oriented that we don't have time for the interruptions. But all too often, Jesus shows up in the interruptions. So friends, let's take time today and let's make sure we see what is important, but that we have time to be interrupted by the Holy Spirit to help others, to love others, and to tell others about Jesus Christ. Remember, friends, I love you. Take care of yourselves and shine the light of Christ.